Well, hey there, what's up my friends? Mr. Gallows, of course. Welcome back to another vlog. Sorry that I haven't vlogged in about a week, guys. Actually, I think it's been longer than a week. I haven't vlogged, and that's because I've actually been finishing up my grandmother's book. I actually just finished my very first draft of my grandmother's book, my grandmother's memoirs, all the way from basically, my goodness, I think it's like 19, 21, 22, 23, 24, somewhere around there, all the way on. I mean, she talks about everything. She talks about like the prohibition, and the 20s going on, and actual raids going on in her neighborhood. Like she was a part of that. You know, she talks about the Great Depression, World War I, World War II, the Korean War even, where my grandfather fought in the Korean War, all the way up to today. And it's been so wonderful putting this book together. And basically for today, like I didn't have a vlog planned, obviously, because I just got done doing all this stuff. I just got done being busy, basically, so I don't really have anything planned. I have a few ideas definitely coming up this week that I'll be vlogging about. But I thought it would be a good opportunity for me to kind of sit down and just kind of reflect with you guys just for a couple of minutes about, everything that I learned basically from writing this book. And, I'm not going to get into spoilers because, like I said, this is a book. I am getting it published. It's going to be out, and I hope a lot of you guys will read it. So I don't want to get into, like, every single detail. I don't want to get into, like, spoilers from the book. I want people to experience it for themselves. But it was just the lessons that I learned from the book. Because a lot of us out there, especially today, are not that close with our grandparents. We like to think that we are because we like hang out with them and stuff like that. But really, what do you guys know about your grandparents? And unfortunately, a lot of you guys out there have lost your grandparents. I know I lost my grandfather when I was only, I think I was like 13 or something like that when he passed away. But my grandmother is 100 years old. That's right, guys, 100 years old. And she's still ticking. She's going to be alive until she's like 120 years old. And she just finally put together her memoirs, which is what I've been writing. And man, I really didn't know that much about my grandmother. I really didn't know that much about her at all. And I feel kind of bad. I mean, I feel great now because I completed the book, but man, I really didn't know that much about her. I mean, just to give you guys like a couple of examples, she talks about in the book, like not having, during the Great Depression, like she didn't have clothes for school. She actually had to have one of her aunts send her mother one big gray dress, because her aunt, I guess, was like this big fat lady, and she sent her this one big gray dress that her mother actually cut into two dresses, but because she couldn't sew, she had to wear these like really kind of shoddy dresses, these really awful dresses, and she talked about another time how they didn't have any money, but her mother sent her to the store with the last $2 that she had to go buy some random dress from a grocery store because it was the only thing that was there. And she talks about, collecting bottles. My grandmother actually collected bottles. When she was like 8 years old, 9 years old, 10 years old, she went out there to collect bottles for 2 cents a piece, trying to get to like, $1 or to 10 cents or something like that so they could buy food. She talks about vacationing to Boston, how it was 10 cents to ride the train from her neighborhood in Lynn, Massachusetts, all the way into Boston. And then when she got there, you had like the penny arcade, where arcade games cost only a penny. Hot dogs were like $1, you know what I'm saying? Or like, candy bars just like 5 cents. You could go to the movies. You could go to the movies and see 2 movies plus news for the week and a TV special, all for 10 cents. And she talks about her brothers shoveling off the railroad tracks during snowstorms so that they could make like $1.25 and go into town and get themselves hot dogs to eat. I mean, just absolutely fascinating stories. And really what I took away from it was that, even back then, even without the Depression, we just didn't have the world that we have now. Here, everything is available. I mean, look at what I got behind me. It's like I got my controller right there for making music. I got my computer that does everything. That nice microphone here that I use to record my voice. I got my studio light right here, my video camera right here, which I use for vlogging and everything. We got access to cars, easy public transportation, easy travel, right? We have access to everything. We have this abundance of everything, right? But back then, they didn't have any of that. If they, especially during the Depression, you had to make your own clothes. You had to make your own clothes to wear. You know what I'm saying? It's like, and you had to find things. You actually had to go out and as kids. She had to actively go out and search for cans and bottles just so that she could have some money to return home every day. And aside from that, aside from all the lessons, there's just great stories. She tells these great stories. Like I said, one of the stories from Prohibition, she talks about these 5 brothers, the Gallows brothers, right? Wow, what a coincidence that is, right? The Gallows brothers, spelled Gallos, no W. The W belongs to this guy right here, greatest inventor on YouTube. But anyway, she talks about these 5 Gallows brothers coming in and buying 5 different houses in their neighborhood. And when they came into the neighborhood, they changed the neighborhood into an Italian villa. Like they really did. They planted fig trees and olive trees, and they planted wine vineyards in their backyards, and they made their own wine, which is what got them in trouble with Prohibition. She talks about this raid that happens on her neighborhood with all these Italian families. And how the Italian families really made the neighborhood what it was. She talks about, going out to the courtyard, in the evening and listening to these Italian families, play their accordions and their instruments. And then there's some, Italian guy with a beautiful tenor voice just singing from his porch. Just all these magnificent, magical stories that she had growing up as a child. And it teaches you kind of to be a better person. Part of the reason why I really want to get this book out right now is because there's so much social change going on in society right now. There really is. There's a big women's movement. There's a big minority movement. There's all these big movements going on. It's really just a movement of the people. It's a movement of the people to recognize equality in everyone and to move forward amicably, basically as one tribe, together, moving forward as one people, leaving no one behind. Yes, I just saw Black Panther a couple of days ago. It was a great movie. But it really applies because there's a lot of social change going on. And like I said, it's half the reason why I wanted to write this book right now is because I want to learn about my grandmother's story, but I want other people to learn about it as well. Why? Well, because it sparks social change. We can learn everything about the future. We can learn from the past. We can learn from events that have already transpired. We can learn what to do, what not to do, what people were feeling, what they were going through, what that means for our society right now. And even simple stories like my grandmother collecting bottles, to get by. It's amazing to think that, people are still doing that today. Here we are literally 100 years later, 100 years later, and there are still people out on the streets collecting bottles to get by. It's like, did the Great Depression actually end? Well, no, in many ways, it's still going on. There's still people out there that are dirt poor, that by no fault of their own just can't get by in society. It's like parts of the Great Depression have stuck around and they're menaces to society in their own way. And it's because the people at the top of the pyramid, well, they're looking the other way. They view themselves as, the kings. And they don't need to look down at the peasants, And so many points in my grandmother's book really makes that issue shine. It really does. It really brings it into the light. And it makes you realize how much change has happened, but also how much change has not happened. And really what we can learn from that, and what we can learn from all of these great stories. It's such a wonderful, heartwarming tale with a lot of good information, but at its core, a lot of good morals and a lesson to be learned. And that's why I'm so excited about publishing this. And I can't wait for you guys to read it. I hope you guys will support me. I don't have a Kickstarter, or any kind of campaign, like money-making campaign going for this book. I'm publishing this all myself. So if you guys want to help, just buy the book. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it'll be available on Amazon. I think I'm going to be publishing it through Amazon. So if you guys want to help me out, just buy it. You know, it won't be that expensive. But just buy the book and spread it to your friends and families, because I really think that this book can spark a lot of social change. It can be a big part of social change here in America. So yeah, guys, that's going to do it for today's vlog. Like I said, just wanted to sit down for a couple of minutes and just talk to you guys about where I was, what I've just experienced, what I've been through, and what's coming up in the future. So I'll be back this week, probably, definitely, with another vlog talking about social change. I think that's definitely going to be the next topic for the next couple of weeks, probably, is just a lot of social videos, talking about society and stuff like that, because it's very important right now. So now it's time for you guys to leave all of your thoughts and opinions down below in the Great White Void, as always. Time for me to get to work, as always. And I'll see you guys back here for the next vlog very soon. Later.